I said, teachers don't go into teaching because they don't want to talk to students or don't want to help students. When you participate in class or when you talk to teachers, that's why they got into teaching, because they want to be around young people. They want to learn from you. They want to teach you. And having a student like Anthony it's rewarding for me because they're the students I want to help, and he made it easy. So I tell students, you're advocating for yourself, but you're also helping the teacher do what they wanted to do as a teacher. Why they went into teaching was to help students. So let them help you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony.
And I'm Casey.
And welcome to Anthony's Way, the Road to Kindness, our YouTube and podcast, The Way Forward, a Kindness Mission. And we want to welcome especially those joining us for the first time. It's great to have you with us. We created Anthony's Way, the Road to Kindness in memory of our son, Anthony, with one mission in mind: to help kids with ADHD thrive. Through our expert care and compassionate guidance, we've developed a supportive roadmap for parents, one that helps them better understand both ADHD and their child. With our YouTube channel and this podcast, we bring expert voices and practical insights to families so you can navigate the ADHD journey with clarity, confidence, and kindness. Now, August is back to school month, and it's important time for families. Now, it could be a happy time, it could be a challenging time. Our goal for this month is to bring you experts that understand the feelings you're going through and to provide you with tips and expert advice on how to prepare so that it can be the best entry back to school as possible. Today, we have an outstanding leader and voice in the school system and school area, a really, really wonderful person who's very close to us. We have a very, very good friend of ours, Donna Cronin. Welcome, Donna.
So happy to be here.
And Donna is the founder of College Preparation and Resources based in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Donna is an experienced educator and college prep coach who works closely with students and families to reduce the stresses, build confidence, and create a clear path towards academic success and college readiness. Through her personal coaching, Donna helps students strengthen executive function skills, navigate the complex college admission process, and prepare for the SATs and ACT. Her work is especially meaningful for families who feel overwhelmed by all the decisions, from choosing the colleges to crafting college essays. Whether your child is heading into middle school, high school, or planning for life after graduation, Donna brings insight, structure, and a lot of heart and so much care to the process. We can't wait to dive into the practical tips that she has and she'll share with everyone. Donna, we're excited to have you with us. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Anything for you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. And also, she's part of our advisory team,
right,
that works so closely with kids. So I think it's great that you're part of this whole journey with us.
Yep. You've been on a journey with us for a while.
Absolutely. And you've been on the same journey as me, because if it wasn't for you and Anthony, I probably wouldn't have been able to launch this business, because that was my pilot year to figure out whether I wanted to do this or not.
Well, you started it right at the right time, because you really did. You helped Anthony a lot and us. And so for those listening, our relationship with Donna is very, very personal. Our son Anthony was Donna's first pilot student, and she helped him tremendously. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Yeah. But Donna and I have known each other for years. Two of our children dated at one time, and
we're related.
And then she got me started into Cabby, so then I had to go to all of her shows. And but anyway, she's a lovely, lovely person, and she's probably the busiest person that I know. And just as a little personal aside, after Anthony passed, she made a promise to me that we would have lunch every Friday, just to get me out of the house, because she knew that I wouldn't leave the house if she didn't do that. And being the busiest person that I know, you'll never know how much I appreciated that. I mean, it really meant a lot to me, and we really, really got close.
And me too. It meant a lot to me, Donna, too, because, and I thank you a lot for that, because the time you spent with her, with my wonderful Casey, was so helpful and helped her and helped us to get over our big loss. So
yeah.
Well, it certainly was one of the highlights of my week because there isn't a sweeter and nicer person. Biggest heart. I grew a lot just spending time with you, Casey, and I just wish you were still in Hershey.
Oh, I wish I was too. Okay.
Oh, we like the beach.
Yeah, we do like the beach.
We do like the beach.
You can come down here.
Not a problem.
So the first question that we ask people is, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us how you got started. What inspired you to start college preparation and resources?
Certainly. I mean, it's kind of a two-pronged question because my background was in education. When I went to college, I wanted to make sure I wanted to be a teacher in some capacity. And then by the time I went to college, I had settled on pharmacy, but I wanted to do the teaching aspect of pharmacy. I wanted to be a pharmacy instructor. But at the same time, I went through the secondary education program at Swarthmore College, and I did my student teaching. I took all the educational courses, and I loved everything about teaching. And as soon as I got out of Swarthmore, while I was in graduate school for pharmacy, I coached and I taught at the local schools. And then I realized that this is something that I want to keep doing. I actually worked in the admissions office, and because I grew up really close to Swarthmore, I was able to work there for the summers. So I was a year-round admissions person, back before it was computerized, before the Common App. So I was the person who had to intake every piece of the application. So I knew it by heart. I knew there was the PIF, the personal information form, and that would create a file for students. And then I would get the teacher recommendations, the essays, the transcripts, and I would be sending out letters to them, what was missing, what was not. It was not computerized, but it was a fancy typewriter that was pseudo computerized. So I got to do everything. I led tour guides, I hosted overnight students. So everything about getting kids excited about college started back when I was still in college myself. And then after I graduated at Swarthmore, I became part of one of the Swarthmore's most prestigious scholarship committees. And I chaired that committee for the last 25 years, and I've done alumni interviews. So I've been involved in admissions my entire life, but it didn't hit me in the face until my oldest was going to college. And it really showed me how it's really a different process, because back, as my kids would say, when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, when I was applying to colleges, not only was I handwriting or, typing with whiteout my applications, you could only apply to a few schools because you just didn't have the bandwidth. It wasn't computerized, so it was a lot of work. So you had to be very, very strategic with where you were applying. But for the most part, we were told from earliest I can remember, you want to be well-rounded, you want to get involved in everything, and that's what I did when I was in school. I was in the chorus. I can't carry a tune. I played sports. I was in student government. I was in, newspaper, yearbook, you name it. I did everything. And I wasn't good at a lot of them, but that's what I was told to do. And that's what students were told for decades to do. And then I realized, as I was, going through admissions and then really doing it with my own son, I'm like, wow, that isn't really what it's all about. It's not doing a little bit of everything. It's actually finding what you like, what is your passion, and go deep in that. So that light bulb made me realize that parents like myself, it's not like how it was for us. How are parents going to navigate this new system when it's completely different? And if they don't realize it till it's time to apply, it really is too late. So you really have to start before high school, so that when you're making decisions, it's all about, I always say to my students, it's all about you. This may be the only time in your life that it's all about you. What is best for you? What courses, what activities, what volunteer work, what types of career opportunities. It's all about you. It's not what your mom says. It's not what your siblings did. It's not what your neighbor says or what Aunt Matilda says. It's what is best for you. So that's pretty much why I started college prep and advising, so I could help students pick for themselves.
That's great.
Decide for themselves.
Yeah, that's really great.
And that matches perfectly with our mission, which is to help these kids find what they love to do so that they can be successful. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
In
fact, one of the first things I ask students is, what are your strengths and what are your passions? What do you really love to do, your interests, and what are you really good at? And I said, there might be two different things. It may not match. It oftentimes does, But I said, you notice I never said to you, what don't you like or what aren't you good with? Because they're off the table. We don't care. We're focusing on you, what's great about you and what you love to do. So
we love that. That's perfect, because that's what we want. That's what we ask all the kids too. What do you love to do? What's your passion? And that's perfect. Fits perfect.
So what students do you typically work with? What type of student do you typically work with?
Well, two things. Either whoever has heard from a friend that I'm very helpful, or whose parents said, hey, Mrs. Cronin is helpful. So it's really, there's not one single type. I have really every range of student you can imagine. And the best way to describe that is my students over the last decade, we've gotten admitted into 170 different colleges. There's no cookie cutter. It's not, oh, we're sending everyone to Penn State because we're in Hershey and that's right. Our main school. Sure, a lot of kids go to Penn State, but I have students from probably 7 or 8 different states now. Most are in Pennsylvania, and probably about a dozen different, school districts in just Pennsylvania alone. But we've also gone beyond the borders of Pennsylvania, and we've got private schools, public schools, big schools, middle schools, medium schools.
Awesome.
It really is the full range.
It's great, and that's why you're part of our organization, because we're going to be bringing teenagers to you so that you can help them through every process of this.
Yes.
That's really cool.
Exactly.
And so what makes your approach different than what a kid would get from a guidance counselor in the school?
So the main difference is guidance counselors are well trained. They have advanced degrees. They care about students. It's the numbers. The average school, or in Pennsylvania, the average ratio is 400 students to 1 guidance counselor.
Oh, wow.
Sheer numbers. Now, at our school district, it's better. It's about 300 to 1. But for me, I like to say it's 1 to 1. Yeah. So I am there. The things that the guidance counselors can do and would do if they had the time and the bandwidth. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say I'm basically a college advisor, just like a guidance counselor. It's exact same role. But I'm able to meet with you multiple times, like regularly, a lot, texting, phone calls, constant communication. Guidance counselors don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
What age do you suggest parents start looking at colleges? Like when should they really start thinking about this?
So it really varies on the student, because students mature differently. They're ready to step into that next step at different phases. But ideally, it's a great thing to use as early as, I say, middle school, because it's like, I'll just use one example. My son, my oldest son, as you know, Tom, he loved playing lacrosse, as did Anthony. Yeah. And he would talk about wanting to go to these great schools to play lacrosse, Hopkins. I'm like, I'm not going to say not going to happen. But what I did say was, well, if you want to play lacrosse at Hopkins, you need to have really good grades. And that means getting into advanced math, and advanced languages. So instead of getting into algebra in 7th grade or in 8th grade, maybe you try to test and get into 7th grade. Boys normally, when they get tested for math, do you think they care when they're in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade how they test in math and how that's going to affect their future? Zero. But as soon as you link that to, oh, you want to play lacrosse at Hopkins? Okay, let's get into advanced math. Okay. Yeah. It's really, each kid's motivational factor is different. Or something like Villanova won the national championship. Oh my God, I want to go to Villanova. And they're in middle school and they watch the national championship and you say, hey, what do we need to do to get into Villanova? So it's really finding when and why they're interested in a college. And it can be for a completely random reason. That's when you start talking about colleges. And then it gets really exciting for parents and students.
So helping the kids, though, I have a question for you. So obviously we're focused on kids that have ADHD. Okay. Do you help kids? You help kids already that have ADHD, right?
Absolutely.
And you may or may not know about it, but
Correct.
They tell you. So they may tell you we have ADHD. Now we're going to be sending you kids that have ADHD, and the point you made here is that all depends on some of the kids are a little bit younger or not as mature as that have ADHD as some that might progress and don't have ADHD. How do you deal with that? How do you help some of these kids that have ADHD? You work the same way with them? Is there something you do differently?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's the same. It's the same for all students, but it's how you get them interested that is different. So, for example, I mean, nowadays, I don't know what the exact statistics are, but there's probably up to a third of all students have diagnosed ADHD, and then there's undiagnosed. So my population that I work with students represents the regular population. So I see all kinds of students,
Right.
you know, everything from, you know, students who need more help to gifted students, everything in between, and various different emotional statuses. That's just life.
Right.
So that's what I get all comers, and I take all comers, and really I deal with each one individually. That's the constant. Each one is individually. So, you know, you two have been together forever, but I'll say, Tony, but what do you like? You know, what really floats your boat? Casey, I'm not going to do the same thing. What do you want to do? So that's how that's how you have to make a difference with ADHD or any other student. It's once again, what do you enjoy doing? What if you don't like math? We're not going to try to take the most difficult math classes. We're going to say, well, you really like history. Well, let's run with that, because there's no right or wrong major. There's no right or wrong subject that you need to like or don't like. You don't have to like all the subjects. That's human nature. So it's just finding what makes the kids tick and wants them to be. They self-motivate when they're doing what they like.
Right. So the beautiful part about what you're talking about is that every single person on our care team, you included, have said the same thing as we talk to them, that they want to help the child or the student find what they love, find their passion. Once you find their passion, it's going to drive them a lot. Like for Anthony,
Absolutely.
Anthony loved cars. He loved cars, loved motorcycles. And so I can still remember you coaching him along and telling him, hey, you need to set up the automotive club at school.
Well, she asked him, what do you want? What do you like to do? And he said, I love cars. And she said, well, why don't you think about doing this? And then he did it.
Yeah.
You know,
he did it, and he loved doing it. And then he did an internship. Like, you don't have to do, you know, internships can be at absolutely anything. And he worked at the car dealership at the what was it called? MW Motors or
our repair place. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Repairs.
So and you
cool.
do an internship with whatever you want to be doing it in, and that's what he chose, and he loved it, and he spent a couple hours a week there.
Yeah,
he learned so much.
Oh, geez, I have to go there. Oh, my mom's making me go. We don't want ever that. We don't want parents to have to make kids do something and be miserable. We know what that's like.
We never had to do that. So, do you have any practical tips for parents? Something that they can do in August to prepare their kids for back to school?
Absolutely. This was always one of my funnest times of the year. Even though I hated the end of summer because I loved having the kids home, my own, you know, need for organization, you know, my own type A OCD personality, I would love getting the kids all together. And in the beginning, it was, you know, shopping for back to school, but then it just became taking all the stuff we already have in the house, and let's put together our back to school little kits, whether it be like a little pencil case or a little zipper enclosure. And we'd go around, you know, we'd make a list and we'd say, okay, we need to get our highlighters, our pencils, our pens, our erasers, our rulers, calculators, and whiteout sticks and glue sticks. And it just became almost like a scavenger hunt in the house for everyone to have. And I'd make a list. Each kid had their list and they had to check off what they found. And everyone, before we started school, had those little pouches ready to go.
And then of course
it was fun. It was fun. And then we'd, you know, get their folders, and I would print out their schedule. And then eventually when they were old enough, they would write out their schedule. And then seeing that schedule made it real. It was like, you start getting excited. And then you start comparing with what your friends, who's going to be in your class. So it's really just the mindset. And then also another important thing is we would clean off the desks. You know, whatever, if they didn't have a desk, where is your space? Your private space, which isn't easy to find in our house, but where does your student, where does your kid want, where do they work the best? And make sure they clear out that space, have what they need in that space, good lighting, and just get them excited about it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's a great idea. Good.
But then that's the physical aspect of it. But then the mental aspect of it is getting their brain. Find a fun book to read. Like, you know what, you don't have to be reading, like, you know, a thick Harry Potter book in 5th grade. If you liked Magic Treehouse, I don't care what you're reading, at what grade, whether it's grade level, simple reading, just read something that gets your brain working. Do crossword puzzles, practice math, you know, do some multiplication, addition. You know, you can look up anything online and get quick. Try to do those. Remember the math racing test they would have in elementary school? How many you could get done in a minute? make it fun, turn it into game, but get the cobwebs out of the brain too.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
So are there any specific routines or habits that families can start now that really help set the tone for success in the fall?
Yeah, with the very hardest one for us has always been get the time schedule. Start gradually going to bed early. You know, your family movie nights, you better start them at 6 o'clock, not at 9:30. And the wake up routine. You're not going to be waking up at 6 o'clock in the summer, but you're not waking up at 2 p.m. Keep backing it up so it's earlier and earlier. And then maybe the week before you start getting up at 7 a.m. Get ready for that 6 a.m. that 6 a.m. bus. So I think getting your clock ready is an important routine, and even mealtime.
Yeah. Meals are very important.
Yeah, because during the summer it's just crazy, and you know what? Once you're in school every day at 11:30 or 11:55 or whatever that half hour, start getting your body used to having food when you're going to be having it at school.
Yeah. Plus with all the activities that kids have after school too, it's really hard to get everybody on a schedule as far as that's concerned. Yeah.
So parents, listen out there. The clock is so important. Get them started, because I know that when kids were going to school, we'd be watching TV, we watch a movie, and then they go to bed, or we tell stories, or we do whatever, and then but that was the hardest thing, getting adjusted for that bus.
Oh yeah.
Who's gonna make the bus? All right, who's
Anthony would make the bus. Gabriella never did.
We struggled. We got
stories. To drive her to school a lot until she started driving herself.
We did. It's funny.
Been there.
And then Anthony wouldn't ride with her because he wanted to get to school on time, and she didn't hardly make it a lot to school on time, so he would ride the bus anyway.
Yep.
I remember that. That's funny. Yeah.
And so speaking of that, how can parents support their children, their students who struggle with executive function skills like organization, time management, or follow through? Do you have any tips for that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's different for everybody, but it used to be just get used to making lists. But nowadays, so you can make a list, you can have a calendar, but now you also have your device. Are kids comfortable putting everything, like for me now, if it's not in my phone and calendar, it's not happening. So if kids are comfortable with writing it down, or if they're comfortable with using their device, either way, or some like I have a huge, still to this day, a huge calendar whiteboard in my kitchen that we write everything down, so that we wake up in the morning, you see what you have the whole week.
Absolutely.
But then you also have it on your phone. So I use lists, I use my phone, and then I have this wall calendar. So it's whatever the student finds the most helpful, but it's okay to do more than one. And really, that's not magic, because I can't keep that stuff straight in my head. Why should a student? And the students have so much more going on. So you can be organized. You can manage your time once you know what you have to do, but you don't know what you have to do unless you're organized. So getting that stuff on paper and then checking things off. Like, I love my to-do list. I have to-do lists. I have them all over the place. Scratching them off and then throwing it away and starting a new one. I'm like, yes, I'm done with that one. Yeah, so it's finding what works for them.
Yeah.
It's good.
So Donna, just so we know how organized you need to be, tell us how many children you have.
I have 7 children.
God bless.
With different levels of organization.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So she really is a master of this, everyone.
Yeah.
And what I didn't say is when they're writing their list to make it fun, color coding. If they want to go by colored pencils or highlighters, make it fun. Everything I did was color coded.
I love that.
Yeah.
I always love the red pen. Check it off with the red pen.
Check it off.
Get rid of that. So.
And have them decide what color. Like, I always do things like if it's field hockey, that's green. I'm going to put that in green. If it's a family vacation, it's fun. I make it purple. If it's mine's always in turquoise because that's my favorite color. But they can come up with their own key, what each color stands for, like their music, their sports, their going to bed, whatever it is, friend time, computer time. Make it be theirs. They own it.
Good.
Did any of your kids ever have anxiety about going back to school, and if they didn't, do you have any tips on how to help parents help their kid with anxiety? Because it's a lot. Who's going to like me this year? Or who am I going to be sitting with at lunch this year?
That used to make me crazy. That would be one of the biggest stressors. Was on the bus. Who would you know on the bus?
Right.
And frankly, I can relate, because when I was in college, we used to call it dining room scare, and we were 18 years old. who are we going to sit next? Who are we going to sit with in the dining hall? So you imagine being a middle schooler, and now you can, you're not assigned like elementary school. Even fifth and sixth graders or fourth and fifth graders, that's when they were the first time they were allowed to sit wherever they wanted to within, not assigned seating. So it is scary. So I think a lot of it is, whether it be arranging play dates with friends right before school starts and getting kids plugged back into, like for high schoolers, it's great because they have preseason sports. And it's an easy way to get into it. Middle school, they don't have that. So maybe you arrange for a play date, or say, hey, do you want to do a workout with some of your field hockey friends, or sometimes with girls they'll want to get together and come up with decorations for their lockers, like in middle school, or make it, have a T-shirt party. Unfortunately, this falls on the parents to have to do, but get a few kids together and do something that will get them excited about going back to school. Some schools you put you would have your name tag on your desk or on your locker. Decorate them with friends. Do things together.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell us about the how you help kids that are ready to get ready for college, that they get the SATs. Big challenge. I could remember Anthony saying, and boy, I'm never going to get through the SATs. What do you do now today with your program that helps them get ready? Because that's always was anxiety. I mean, I can still remember back when years and years and years and years ago, but it's still, I'm sure some kids, if not every kid, gets a little bit of anxiety when they got to go take this SATs, because that determines where they go a lot of times.
In a lot of ways, yes.
Are they still that important? I heard something they're like doing away with it.
I mean, in reality, I can't think of any college that doesn't claim to have a holistic approach for looking for who they're going to admit. So what does that mean? They're looking at their academics. What courses you're taking, how challenging are they? And what grades do you get in that level of challenge? So for example, if you're getting A+ and you're taking college prep courses, well, why aren't you taking AP courses? I'd rather you get A's or A- taking a harder course than get A+ and have it be too easy for you. So that's one piece of it. Another piece of it is your involvement. What are you showing in terms of your extracurricular activities as being a leader and service, being a volunteer? And that's a lot bigger than it was when we were growing up. There wasn't really that big service component, but that's a huge component. A third area is your teacher recommendations. What are teachers saying to really to corroborate what you're claiming on your resume? And then another area is your personal essay that brings your application to life, and then test scores. So that's 5 areas that right off the bat that are all pretty much equally important. If a school is test optional, they just take this one out. They take the SAT out. But with that being said, most schools are back to requiring the SAT. Not all. So what we do is we do a test prep program. We have designed a curriculum, and the way to alleviate the stress of a test is to give as much information to the students as possible. So before we do any test prep, we spend an hour just talking about the test. We talk about how, the test, it's digital, it's online now, so everything is on your screen. So download the app and get familiar with it. So when you get in there, there's no stress about how to operate the system. Make sure your calculator is working. If you're allowed to use any type of formulas, if you're allowed to plug in any formulas, get that done ahead of time. That's an easy thing. And then number 2, when is a test most stressful? When you're not prepared for it, when you don't know what's going to be on the test. So the most important thing I think with the SAT, I call it muscle memory, but it's really getting so used to the questions that it's not a matter of what is the question. Oh, that's the one. I remember that question. That's the slope of a line question. That's the area of a cylinder question. That's the sentence structure, grammar or vocabulary or punctuation. So it's really getting them ready. So our test prep real specifically is we do an intro, which basically says, I tell my students, there's nothing on this SAT that you haven't learned. You've learned reading comprehension since kindergarten. You've learned math since kindergarten, and you've just grown up through all the different math sequences. But algebra, most kids take in late middle school. That's the primary component of the SAT test. Then there's a little bit of geometry, tiny bit of algebra 2 trig, very basic statistics. So I said, there's no new material. We're not teaching you anything. We're just getting things back to the front of your brain in both math and verbal that you need to know. And then we just keep giving them tons of instruction and repetitive questions, mock test, strategies, and teach them strategies. So then they're like, oh, I've taken this test 5 times already in practice. I know exactly what I'm walking into. Boom. That's how you get rid of the stress.
I like that. Yeah, that's good.
So if a parent sees that their child is falling behind early in the school year, what's the best time for them to start thinking about some type of tutoring or some type of coaching?
Before. So really, I think it's important to have a good idea of what your student likes and what they're good at. And by default, the other areas are the ones that you're already looking to help them in. Because if I come here and tell you that I really enjoy history, but I just cannot memorize dates. But I really love math, and I can still remember math formulas from middle school. So I would want my parent to say, okay, well, she likes history, but we're going to need to get a tutor or flashcards or putting things in place because we already know that she can't memorize dates. And she doesn't want to. She doesn't care about the dates. She wants to know, the hows and the whys. So for every student, for each subject, you want to find out if you have a mental block because you hate the subject, start getting help earlier. Don't wait till you are struggling. Get it proactively and find a tutor who makes it fun, because that's what's really critical. Because even chemistry can be fun. Okay, that's one that I struggle with.
You mean I get to blow things up like that little Bunsen burner?
Right, make it fun. But you have to find out for each subject, where should I intervene even before school starts? Like some students, I'll say, like not only getting like I said, get your brain moving. I've told some students, well, actually this even goes back to college. One of my sons, upper class in college, said, before you take college chemistry or calculus, you should take that course in the summer, so it's only repetitive to take the stress off, whichever one you don't like. So I'll tell my students, if you're worried about math, in fact, our college prep, we actually did summer tutoring during COVID, and we said, kids lost a lot of math during COVID.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to catch up. So what we did was in the summer, we would offer 10 basically free sessions to repeat what they did so they feel more confident before they move on. And you could do that with any subject in a fun way.
Yeah.
If history, how do you get someone interested in history? Go put on Disney and watch Alexander Hamilton. Watch Hamilton, and you learn a lot of civics. Okay, that kind of thing. So just figure out where their weaknesses are ahead of time and the things that they don't like, and assume that's where they could potentially struggle. Prevent the struggle.
That's awesome.
Is there any such thing as a learning friendly environment in the home?
Absolutely. One is a regular schedule. So you can't have people making lots of noise late at night when they have to go to bed or when they're trying to do homework. Find their private homework space, and everyone has to respect that. So that's really important. And to have a homework time. We used to have a homework time when the kids were younger. And we say, okay, but this is what we're doing. Everyone, before they were playing sports, you get off the bus, we're all going to do homework right now. Yeah. And while I'm making a really fun snack and, some kind of reward or afterwards, but let's just get it done and just get that kind of mentality. As they get older, it's a lot harder because nowadays it's not sports after school or activities after school.
Right.
It's some are after school and then some are in the evening. Yeah. So whatever, once you know what your schedule is, find that, when do you work best? Like for me, I was the procrastinator. I work best like 10 to midnight. Some students, that would be a disaster. So find out when when it's best, and then you help them keep to that. And once again, it's like writing down the schedule. What am I doing, on a given day, each time period? Everyone's different.
So everybody listening, schedule's important. Find it out. I love the part about having the private time, space, study time as your kid, and for all your kids. If you have more than one, or even if you just have one, you're gonna block that time out. And if you could do it after school, great to do it after school. If you got to take it later because of sports or whatever, then you have to figure out that time up front, plan for it. So get it in the calendar, right?
Right. And one big thing for high schoolers, parents of new high schoolers, there have been a lot of time sleep studies done, how 6 o'clock in the morning is not the best time for high school students that go to bed late. We know that. So we have to really help our high school students. Do not let them nap when they get home from school. because it's a vicious cycle. Then they don't go to bed early. They stay up late. They get up and they're miserable. They're sleeping in school, and then they take a nap. Get off that nap. And the way you do that is you have to just basically power through and get them to bed early.
Love that.
It is
true.
It is absolutely derailing.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about having electronics, when they're trying to study or when they're getting ready to go to bed? And
it's interesting because at least at our school, we've had one-on-one devices for a very long time. I see no papers, for my youngest compared to my oldest, when the backpack was just papers everywhere and just right. My youngest, not a single paper would come home, not even books. Everything was on the iPad. So there's great aspects of technology. And the nice thing about the iPads is the school doesn't allow you to put the bad apps on it. But kids can waste time, mine included, and I've gotten sucked into this too, scrolling needlessly. And they say, if you watched, oh gosh, I forget what the Facebook movie, the documentary on Facebook, I forget what it was called. The designers of these apps, it's like a slot machine. Scrolling slot machine, it's the same endorphins. Right. You get sucked into it, and you can spend hours, and they do. They spend hours, and you just have to make them realize that is, you can, if they don't listen, you can remove the apps. You can put in parental controls. I hated doing that. But if you have to, you have to. But I would really stress to them that this is a complete waste of time. I can see the brain oozing out of your ears. It's just absolutely mindless. And you just have to get them to understand.
Yeah. But the other thing is, too, that they stay up on social media at night because they're afraid they're going to miss something. And then that makes them tired in the morning, too, because they've gone to bed, but they haven't really gone to bed.
And I know people have tried, at 10 o'clock, put your phones here. But my kids use their phone for alarms. They use it for silent noise. What's it called? To help you sleep. White noise, the white noise apps. So I never took the phones away from them. But if I found that they were suffering, we would just have frank by the time my kids were a lot older, I have never had elementary and middle school kids really dealing with that. But now it's a lot worse. Now it's K through 12, they all know social media. So I was dealing with older kids where it was, very hard to take it away. And they had their phones before the apps. So, they're used to the phone and they're using it in a good way. And then the apps come and you're like, well, no, I don't want you to have your phone. But the phone is also an important device for safety reasons. And there's so many good things about it. So it really is, you have to deal with your child and make them, as best you can, come to some type of agreement, compromise or whatever, understanding, use the phone in the right way, but if using it in the wrong way, you want to lose it altogether. I hate to say that, but you know what?
Yeah.
It's for your best interest. But usually they'll come around. They're old enough. If they're old enough, they can compromise.
We've had a lot of discussion, and I think if we have to do it, and some of the coaches that we work with, the ADHD life coaches, believe that, hey, take the screens away. That's it. Take them away and let the kids work without the screens and no phones. We wish he didn't give phone to Anthony at nighttime. Take the stuff away from him. And there's other ways to get white noise and stuff, but it just keeps them up. And you're so right. So that's such a critical time. I think it's important.
Yeah.
It's important. You need, as a family, you need to figure that out. And
one thing that sometimes they're so used to it. They don't see they can't imagine any advantage to not having it. And I was the same way. I have two phones, my work phone, it's with me all the time. Now my work phone on weekends and the evenings, I put it away. Or if my family's all together, I'm like, well, the people that need to reach me, they're all right here. And I won't have my phone. We were on vacation for like 5 days. I didn't even know where my phone was. It was so wonderful.
Yes.
So it's like almost give them that vacation, the tech vacation, and they'll realize, wow, look at all these things that we can do without it. So anyway, it's I wish I had the magic potion for it. It's tough. Yeah. But once again, every kid is different how you can manage it with them.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to your experience and your time with Anthony. So he was one of your the first students in your pilot program.
Yeah, pilot project.
Yeah, what were you going to say?
Yep.
And this is important too, because, Donna, a lot of people that are that we're working with today,
they never met him.
Didn't meet Anthony. So we thought from your, you could share some qualities you had, some of the, and why we're around kindness. I mean, people ask, well, how'd you come up with kindness? And we just know that's how he was, a kind soul. But a lot of people didn't know him, and here's an opportunity, I think, for those who are listening, to get an outsider's view, someone who worked with him and can see his passion and the way he cared. We'd love for you to share a little bit about him, if you're okay with that.
Absolutely. Do you have specific questions, or you don't want me to just go with it?
So first of all, I guess I don't know what I want to say.
Just let her go.
Okay.
Share your experience.
Who was Anthony?
Yeah,
who's Anthony to you?
Yeah.
So I knew Anthony as, of course, Gabby's little brother, and I knew him as, a kid on the lacrosse field. And he was just, first of all, he was just as cute as can be, just the blonde hair, blue, just bright eyed, just as sweet as can be, and as nice as can be. And then here I am. He didn't really know me. I'm like, okay, I'm your sister's boyfriend's mom. Okay, I was nobody. I was absolutely nobody. And I wanted to start this program, but how do you start? You need some guinea pigs. And because I knew you guys, I'm like, would Anthony?
Absolutely.
Would Anthony be okay? And of course, Anthony should have been, heck no, who's that? What? He was like, yeah, sure. I was like, really?
Yeah.
It was fabulous for me. It was a gift for me because I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I knew what I needed to do.
Right.
But I hadn't actually done it. So to actually put it into practice, you needed somebody who was going to allow you to do it and not, I mean, he could have just, okay, I'll just go through sure, mom, sure, I'll do it. He was all in with basically a relative stranger, just this older person, and didn't really have a relationship with me. And I got to tell you, it was after one meeting that we were completely in sync. Like, he was just so open. I mean, I wouldn't say he's shy, but wasn't totally exuberant. He was just so friendly and easy to talk to that it made my job so easy. And I didn't have to work to get things out of him. Like when we first, the first thing I do is a student profile and find out, what do you like? Well, right away, I knew what his passions were right away. He knew. Yeah. And it was great. And he's like, well, I want to do cars. Like, I want to do business, but I really like cars. Okay, we're doing a search on colleges. And our search terms were automotive, it was business, it was finance, it was marketing, but it all had the automotive undertones. And I didn't know, I mean, I knew the schools that I went to, and I knew the schools that I had, played against. And, I had a very finite list of schools that I was familiar with because I was just getting started. He opened me up to like 10 schools on this list that I had never heard of. I got to do research. I got to learn so much through him, and it made me realize, wow, every student is so different. Every student that I take on is going to, if they're like Anthony, I'm going to be just growing exponentially. I'm gaining more than I thought I was giving. And like for all my students, I said, we not only do we define the colleges that fit you, but we talked about it. He's like, well, I don't want to be urban. I want to be, suburban. So maybe rural, but definitely suburban is where. And I'm like, absolutely. Mid-sized school. I don't want to go any place too big. I don't want anything too small. I want to. So he was very self-aware of what he wanted. And it was very easy to work with him on that. And then the best was, like, I have students that I can give 20 ideas to and then maybe finally land on one. He was so open about his passion about cars. When I said, well, what is we go through the school list of activities,
right? And
there wasn't anything there. He found a gap. He found a gap that, sure, you have half your student body is boys. You don't think there's people that are interested in cars? It was a total miss. So when he said he wanted, that he liked cars, and I said, well, would you want to start a club? It wasn't like, yeah. He was all in, and we came up with ideas for how we should. He had most of the ideas because I don't know anything about cars. And he was able to, get his friends involved. And then of course, having parents that are also equally involved. And, Tony, you took that and you ran with it. We, were able to, internship. You want to go to the med center, do an internship? You want to go to a legal? No, why would you do that? We're going to a car dealership. We're going to an auto mechanic. I was able to give him ideas that just it just sparked his interest. And that's what you want, is any teacher, anyone who's working with students, you're waiting for that aha moment. And it came so easy with Anthony. He was just so enthusiastic and so passionate. And like I said, he was all in. It was never like, oh, come on, just try it. All in.
Yeah.
And then when he picked his school, it was like, yeah, I went Northwell. Like, I had never even heard of it. I learned so much about one school just through him.
Yeah, and I think one of his wants also was to go to a school where he could snowboard.
Yeah, that was.
Well, there's always
it had to be up north. He was not going to come. He was not going to come to college in the South.
Absolutely.
No
and then the other thing I remember, he was into artsy stuff.
Yeah.
And he did the what was the activity called? He went to the med center.
Yes.
And he did painting the murals to make the pediatric kids more just more lively and happier.
Yeah.
And so he was also very empathetic.
He
knew what he wanted, but he also knew, how can I help these these sick kids, so to speak.
He loved that. That was really, so thank you, because we called it Anthony's Way, the road to kindness, because of how he cared.
Yep. And he was in scouting.
Yeah.
And scouting, so much of that is, how can we help other people?
Yep.
It was definitely his theme.
Well, one of the things that we that we are learning, we learned about ADHD kids, is a lot of them aren't very social. They don't have good social skills, which is also one of the things that we offer. But I think I think he could talk to anybody if he wanted to. It sounds like you kind of thought that too.
I never had any issues. He was a model student to work with, one-on-one. Absolutely. I never had to pry anything out of him. He was always engaged. He was always prepared, and he was always funny. It was always fun.
He was funny. We are not funny. He was funny.
But it makes your job so much easier, as anyone who works. And I tell my students this, I know you talk about self-advocacy a lot. And I'll tell my students, they're afraid to speak with adults. And Anthony didn't have that with me, which I really, really, really was very happy about, because it makes it hard. I said, teachers don't go into teaching because they don't want to talk to students or don't want to help students. When you participate in class, or when you talk to teachers, that's why they got into teaching, because they want to be around young people. They want to learn from you. They want to teach you. And having a student like Anthony it's rewarding for me, because they're the students I want to help, and he made it easy. So I tell students, you're advocating for yourself, but you're also helping the teacher do what they wanted to do as a teacher. Why they went into teaching was to help students. So let them help you.
Yes.
Besides, that's what we're getting paid for, but that's their profession. That's what they do. Yeah. So I say, make it easy on your teachers. They'll make them happy by being able to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. We thank you every day for what you did with him, how you helped him. So thank you, Donna.
I thank you for having him be a part of my life.
I consider him a success story for you, because he found, he applied to how many colleges? 5, 6, 7, and got accepted at how many of them? And he did not have good grades. His grades were okay, but they are not.
That's only one piece of it. That's
right.
One piece
I know. But
he was the full package, though.
He didn't have any volunteer hours anywhere, and you got him to do that. He wasn't the only club he was in was ski club, and so you got him to set up a club. So
he did the internship. He did everything. His final application checked all the boxes in ways that represented him. He got in because his application was true to himself. He wasn't just checking off mindless, I just want to be involved in random stuff. Right. None of it was random. It all told him. And in fact, in his essay, I reread his essay, and I always tell students, this is not an English essay. This is not what you're writing for AP Lang. This is your Steven Spielberg moment. This is your time to tell your story. And I said, you bare your soul. You want people to laugh, cry with you. And he told his story about dysgraphia and about his ADHD and his challenges and what he did to overcome it, and how it was real. It was just so real. and you read it and you're like, well, I know exactly what this kid is all about. And I look at his resume, it all matches up. Of course they wanted him in their freshman class, and they gave him money to be there.
Did.
So yeah, he's a total success story because he's just a great kid.
Well, you were a godsend really to us because he didn't have we didn't know to do any of that stuff with him, you know. Yeah. And I think you got him when he was a junior is when you started working with him.
Yeah.
Like we didn't, even as educated as we are, like we weren't thinking about that because he never thought he was going to go to college anyway. He never thought he would get into a college, which he proved himself wrong.
Well, for the blessing of the whole thing was, I mean, and I think as part of going through with you, he knew what he wanted to do, but then he asked me if we would redo a car over. And that was like fix a car, an old car up. And that was a turning point, if I say, because then he knew because he loved it. And so that was good.
Some kids don't find their passion till way further along in life, and he found his early.
Yeah. So let's kind of any other expert advice you can give to parents as they get their son or daughter ready for school as this next year comes up?
Really, just they're not alone. Not only are all their classmates going back to school, but you're going back to school too, because as a parent, you want to be as involved as you can. Most parents nowadays work, but figure out how you can fit it in. Let your students know, let your kids know that you're in it too. We're going to go to the concerts. We can't wait to back to school day. I'm excited for your first game. Whatever it is. How can I help you? Can I help you study your flashcards or whatever? Just be an active participant. All students need different levels of engagement. You provide what is best for your student. Just be there for them, I think, is one of the best things that we as parents can do. And support their passions, as strange as we may think they are. None of my kids are pharmacists. They had no interest at all, but that's okay. And they're all doing what they want to be doing, and just go with it. Support them. As long as they know they have your support and your love, you got to have the battle taken care of.
So parents, I think you heard a lot of great stuff today. I mean, Donna, thank you for the words. Take all this to heart, because this is stuff that, you may or may not know, but at the end of the day, it's about making that entry as easy and smooth, and then helping them to have a great year at school. And if we do the right things here in August and getting ready to go back to school, we can make life so much easier for our kids, especially our kids with ADHD and have executive function challenges, as we talk about.
Right. And she has a great
one other thing that I forgot to say is, besides getting the school thing ready, and my kids at the beginning they thought I was crazy, but then they got into it and they actually do it now too. The first day of school outfit. I went every year. The first day of school outfit, everything from socks to underwear, you name it. We had to have new everything. And I would take my kids to, we'd be going to Kmart. I don't care where you get it, whatever's new to them. And that was an exciting thing, trying on your first day of school outfit just to get excited. I loved that part. Me and my sister, we were so into that first day of school outfit. Cool. And I did that with my kids, and they used to laugh. But just the other day, when my one son was his first day of work, and he sent me a picture saying, "My first day of work outfit."
Oh my gosh!
The things they laugh at, but it's real. It's making it fun. It's making it fun, because I always tell my kids, when you go to school, obviously they're going there to learn, but there's so much more beyond the classes. In the lunchroom, the hallways, just being with your friends, being with young people, being with teachers that really love you. School is the best social environment, so embrace it. And it's not always easy, because sometimes they're not all kids are like Anthony. Not all kids are kind, but find those that are, and stick with them. And the ones that aren't kind, somehow try to help them understand they're not being kind, or just don't let them make you negative.
That's right. So the message
don't let them ruin your experience, and they'll have to learn. They'll come around, because the bullies always come around eventually with maturity. I always say, if they're not kind, it's either because they're either too shy, or they just haven't learned it yet. They're not mature enough. They don't have enough self-confidence. They'll get there eventually. Maybe when they're 40, but maybe it'll be when they're 16 or 17. But everyone matures differently. But just give people grace. But Don't let them bring you down.
Help people to choose kindness.
Yep.
Yes. Help them. Yes, as best you can.
So we like to close things out, Donna, with Casey sharing a message for back to school. So why don't you?
You don't want to do any of this?
It's good.
Okay. Are you ready? Is it this one?
Yeah.
As we head back to school, let's remember kids with ADHD don't need to be fixed. They need to be understood, supported, and celebrated for the incredible ways their minds work. Every child deserves to feel seen, valued, and loved for exactly who they are.
So important. So important. That's our message for back to school. And then we always like to close, Donna, with our motto. So, and I think you know our motto.
I do.
Let's all say it together. Today
is the best day of your life.
And tomorrow
will be even
better. Yes. And we've added to that since we say life is better
with you.
So everybody listening, life is better with your child. Give them hugs and value them every moment you have.
And Donna, tell us where to find you.
Yes.
People that need your services, tell us how to find you.
Sure. My website is www.forcollegeprep.com. That's FOR, collegeprep.com. And otherwise, my email is cronin9clan@yahoo.com.
Beautiful.
As in nine of us.
And all 9 for the 9. And all of this will be in the captions below. So you can find Donna. And again, Donna is one of our advisors. She will be helping the kids that we bring, both from a tutoring perspective, the younger kids, in math and English. And then as they get to that SAT and the preparation, selecting colleges, Donna's there for them. So we value you, Donna, as being part of our team and helping us to be on this journey, being on this journey with us.
I love being on this team.
It's not
being on your journey.
It's not a coincidence that we met you and that you've become our great friend.
Yes.
That's for sure. I'm blessed.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a great August and best back to school. Take care.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to our podcasts. We really appreciate you listening to them. And hopefully you're gaining a lot from the information that we share. Now we're here to ask you to help us. Help us to help these kids. Your donation is an investment in helping a child with ADHD and helping a family that can't afford the cost of care. Our QR codes are below. Every dollar we raise goes directly into helping these kids to thrive, and we get them the help they need, specifically the care from our care model that they need. So we hope you'll make a donation, become part of our community and donation community. You'll get newsletters and updates periodically, and we'd love to have you part of it. So thank you very much, and appreciate your consideration and your time. Best. Thank you for spending time with us today.
If you liked today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use the information. And remember, a little bit of kindness goes a long way, especially for those kids with ADHD. See you next time.